Democrats, they hate the president. It seems to be the unifying theme behind today's Democratic Party is that they loathe Donald Trump. At every stage throughout this crisis, the Democrats have been much more focused on attacking the president than on actually solving the crisis.
Obviously, the coronavirus is surging across the country and my state and many others as well. I think I can safely say that I and most of my members believe that another package is important. We've been trying to pass something that we think is targeted literally for months.
Now, I said after we added $3 trillion to the national debt, by the way, giving us a debt the size of our economy for the first time since World War II, no small matter, that maybe we ought to wait a couple of months and see how everything was working before we did more. Our friends in the U.S. House acted within a month by adding $3 trillion more.
So we're in the middle of a pandemic. We know that it's attacking across the board, but particularly our vulnerable populations, our elderly. And yet there are still people here in Washington that want to use that for a political platform. The House passes a bill that has enormous election changes in it, and Green New Deal, and all kinds of other extraneous wish list issues for them to use during a campaign.
When this thing passed the House, the New York Times, so everyone can see it, this was what the New York Times said. This bill was more a messaging document than a viable piece of legislation.
She wasn't attempting to legislate. She wasn't actually attempting to have serious policy solutions. When she drafted it, she didn't talk with the Republicans. She didn't talk with the Senate. She didn't talk with anyone. She just put together a campaign document, put it out, and then promptly left town.
The House hasn't come back, and it shows because they seem disconnected from what's going on here.
And unfortunately, when it comes to public health, it shouldn't be about politics.
Republicans will release their next coronavirus relief package early next week.
Regretfully, we are in a much more partisan place, unfortunately, than we were in March and April. I think we need another one. I think the country needs another one. And I laid out a proposal to consider. What's coming next is the fourth package, which will include liability protection from lawsuits for hospitals, doctors, nurses, businesses, colleges, universities, K through 12. And it will also have a heavy focus on kids back in school, jobs, and health care. It is the framework that will enable Congress to make law and deliver more relief to the American people that is tailored precisely to this phase of the crisis. We've known all along the American people would defeat this virus by understanding that we're all in this together. If we want to deliver more historic relief, the Senate will need to remember the very same thing.
I don't think strategically it's where we should go right now.
The bill, and I'm so proud that every Senate Democrat voted against it.
So the bad news for American families is that last week, Democrats in this body in the United States Senate blocked, obstructed a targeted coronavirus aid package with policies, amazingly, Mr. President, that the Democrats had at one time supported.
What is your bottom line minimum demand in a skinny package, just so we can get something done now and then maybe deal with some other issues later?
There is no later. We're not budging. Understand this.
Then how do you break the impasse?
Even the members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal, $1.8 trillion. It's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent,
and
who are
we
having
represent
trouble,
them, and we represent them,
getting
and
by
we represent
these
them.
long food
and
lines
we
that we're seeing.
them.
I know
we
you
know
are.
them.
I'm just saying.
We represent them, and we know them.
I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you so much.
Have you fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
What the Democrats are advocating as an all-or-nothing approach that holds coronavirus relief hostage to a bunch of left-wing demands.
House Democrats, Senate Democrats are playing politics with everything instead of coming together to solve it.
You are the Speaker of the House. You have enormous power. You have been in these negotiations. At some point,
you got to work with the other side, right? Why not get back in that room and come up with a compromise on some of these core issues?
We can't accept what
so why
they
aren't
have
you
there.
at the table then? Why aren't you guys working all weekend then?
And so what essentially they're saying to the American people is if you don't give us $2.4 trillion, which is what their demand currently is, that's the most recent CBO score, then you're going to end up with $0.0. That's basically the Democrat position. It's an all-or-nothing approach.
Nancy Pelosi isn't serious. That's because she doesn't want anything to pass. She and Chuck Schumer have made a calculated decision, it's a political decision, that nothing is going to pass until after Election Day because they believe that they have better chances of success on Election Day if the American people are held hostage all the way through then. Republicans will continue working to put the virus in the rearview mirror and deliver what we are seeing right now, and it's the great American comeback. The year started with the Democrats' completely partisan impeachment farce, and we sat here day after day listening as the Democrats brought forth charge after charge against the president. That's how we started the year. And now we're ending
We're not budging.
with their blocking of coronavirus relief.